Good evening, viewers from Nigeria, United Kingdom, United States, and across the globe. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Elomba Television tonight. Our theme for discussion tonight is the killing of Chadian President Idriss Deby, implications for Nigeria's war against terrorism. With us tonight to discuss this topic is Mr. Paul Ejime, a journalist, author, former diplomat and war correspondent, and a global affairs analyst. Mr. Ejime is a consultant to international organizations and corporate communications, media development, and elections. So, Mr. Ejime, we welcome you to our discussion tonight.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Also, we have Dr. Nwankwo Nwaezeigwe, Director, Nigeria Civil War and Genocide Research Network. Dr. Nwaezeigwe is an expert in ethno-religious conflict with particular focus on Black Africa and Middle East. Dr. Nwaezeigwe, you are welcome to this discussion tonight.
Thank you very much.
Also, we have Dr. Ahmad Sajoh, former Commissioner for Information at Adamawa State, Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer, FutureNow project based in Abuja. Mr. Sajoh is well suited to speak on this subject because he was the delegate to the regional conference on the security of the Tchad Basin. This conference draws participants from Nigeria, Niger, Tchad, Cameroon, Senegal, and Benin Republic. Also, we have Mr. Emmanuel Gandu. Mr. Gandu has written an article on this subject. He has written an article on this subject, the killing of the Chadian president. So he's well suited to speak on this subject. He's a prolific writer, social commentator, critic, contributor to many journals and newspapers in Nigeria, the retired chief librarian, Nigerian College of Aviation Technology, Zaria. I believe Mr. Gandu has joined the discussion tonight. Start immediately, Mr. Ejime. I think you are well suited to kick off our discussion tonight. What can you tell us about the late president of Chad, Idriss Deby?
Thank you very much. Idriss Deby is Ethno. That's what the completion of his name. He added that one as he continued in his almost 31 years rule in Chad. Chad, which is sharing neighbors. Chad is in Central Africa, but shares neighbors with ECOWAS, some ECOWAS states, and then countries in the Sahel, Libya, and all that. He came in 1990 through a coup d'etat and went ahead, like most of them in Africa then. Remember that in the 90s and 80s were the areas, the time of military dictatorships. And you saw them transmuting into civilian rulers or leaders, if you like. And he was one of them, holding elections that actually flawed in so many ways, but of course, we have, since everybody, there was the pressure from international, the trend then internationally was to move towards democracy and multi-party system. So Chad followed that trend, but has never known stability. When he came, there have been so many coups before him, and then after. In fact, the person he overthrew was, Issa Habri, who was taken to Senegal, where he was, after a long while, he was tried for, crimes against humanity and all that. But that did not end. That did not start or end the instability or insecurity in Tchad, which is a former French colony. One of it where the French still held sway, following what they call the pact of continuation of colonialism that allows France to have military bases in its former colonies, and then still using them, governing through controlling the economy. Most of them have shared the same, France CFA for West Africa, or one way or the other, controlling the economy of these countries, with the treasury in Paris determining how economic policies are done. At times they borrow money that they have made from their own country. At times these countries are made to pay rent for buildings that France constructed in Africa, and so on and so forth. And then exploitation of their mineral resources. Chad is not zero poor, has oil and some other resources, but that has not helped the common Chadian. What has happened is that to maintain himself, by the way, last year or so, he took on the rank of field marshal, like Idi Amin. Because why? They said because of the contribution in fighting terrorism. So he has the backing of the former colonial master, France, and then the Western countries. They are backing him because they say he's helping them to fight this terrorism, Al-Qaeda, and all that. And Nigeria also moved into it, enlisting his support and the others in the international task force against terrorism that brings Benin, Niger, and others, and then Tchad to fight Boko Haram. So in that sense, he has been playing a major, at times turning up in the military, in the battlefield, to show that in his military fatigue that he is also a fighter. He comes from the Zagawa ethnic group, which is known, they are known as warriors, and then they fight and so on. So during his period, he used much of the money to prop his position, and then spend so much on defense. Imagine a child of that is considered poor because of the way there's poverty, there's unemployment, and ethnic crisis, using about $4 billion to as defense budget annually, and that meant that they saw the Chad's military forces of about 33,000 is considered one of the best equipped and very effective and efficient in fighting. So that is the Idriss Deby that people have. Remember also that there was a time when this Boko Haram problem came. The former president of Nigeria, Jonathan, was said to have enlisted his support or giving him money. Nobody knows. And then the man just simply disappeared, because each time he tries to help Nigeria, he wasn't free. He had to put, he collected some money. And there were issues, some rumors about that. And that has continued, people seeing him as a macho man, a brave, courageous fighter that has brought a level of stability. But that which is also questionable, because he was apparently doing that in the name of France that kept him there as a strong man to bring some stability, so that enables them to continue to exploit and pillage the resources of Chad and other the 14 former colonies in Africa, from where they are making up to $500 billion a year annually. That's what these 14 countries in Africa, including Chad, contributing to the economy of France. So if you remove all these countries, France will be nowhere. I think that explains the reason it is bringing this hegemony. For instance, the only Western leader that went to his funeral today was Emmanuel Macron of France, and they have sworn to continue to support his son that took over in what is effectively a military coup. And do you know what they are saying, Dan? They are saying that the defense minister is saying that this is an exceptional case, so the military can come in. Nigeria is towing that line. AU is towing that line. which is absurd and then condemnable. They have refused to condemn what is a military coup that is not accepted and acceptable across the globe. Remember Mali a few months ago, everybody was talking about sanctions and suspension, but why are they having this, making this double standard? And then for Chad, it's not a solution. Anyway, I know there will be time to expatiate on all that, but I wanted to give you, this is the snapshot on what has happened and what is happening. Thank you very much.
What you have touched briefly, no. Mr. Ejime, you have spoken briefly on the role of France in what's happening in Chad. Is there any collaboration between France and Nigeria in the area of fighting terrorism? Our listeners would like to know, has Nigeria been able to collaborate in any way with France, seeing the influence of France in Chad and in other West African countries?
Well, of course, there ought to have been, both countries have diplomatic representatives, in each other's country, the law of reciprocity. But like you also know, there has been that mutual suspicion between Nigeria and France. Even before, remember that the civil war that happened, France was seen to have given its support to Biafra, but not to the point of giving arms, but just providing some little support. In fact, had you say that Biafra had a diplomatic representation in France through the late Chief Ralph Uwechwe. Ralph Uwechwe used to be the Nigerian representative, the Federal Republic of Nigeria representative in France. But when the war broke, he he switched, actually committing the felony. That was a very big sacrifice. But that enabled the fact that brought some recognition, some former French colonies followed France, like Cote d'Ivoire and Gabon, and then which other country that supported Biafra, but not really heavy support. But that was the reason Ojukwu was able to, when he surrendered or the war ended, he went to Cote d'Ivoire for Ivory Coast on asylum. So that is that role, but it wasn't just something that started today. It dates back to the fact that France wants to show its influence in West Africa and sees Nigeria as a rival. So that rivalry, whether it has been overt or covert, is there. Even when the ECOWAS was being formed, some countries, particularly Cote d'Ivoire, that was actually working for France, never supported the formation of ECOWAS. It was at the last minute. In fact, to make Cote d'Ivoire, the late Houvet Boigny, to make him support the formation of ECOWAS, because he was always talking for what he believed in what they called Franc Afrique. That is common, French Africa. So, but when now Yakubu Gowon and the Togolese president, late Togolese president Ejime, when they now brought the idea of ECOWAS, he joined in the last minute. In fact, to join, they had to provide him the necessary airlift, to specially bring him to come and sign the Lagos Treaty of 1975 that set up ECOWAS. And in addition, they made an Ivorian, Wasada, that one, the first executive secretary of ECOWAS. But it was a reluctant acquiescence. And it has shown in the sense that perhaps what will make Nigeria strong France will not see it as a best interest. That is probably why they supported the division. That's one theory. But that has not ended. Even after the war, you see that all the Francophone countries tend to take directive from Paris. And that has made organizations such as ECOWAS ineffective, because they later set up what you call the West African Monetary and Economic Union, UEMOA. UEMOA of 8 countries who are also members of ECOWAS. So you see that in negotiating for foreign assistance, for instance, those countries will benefit from ECOWAS and also go to UEMOA to benefit. So there has been this very dubious kind of collaboration, if you like. So France has never really, in the open, perhaps they will not say it, but behind the scene, this is what is happening. And Nigerian leaders across the various administrations have tried to continue to allow this to happen, because Nigeria is surrounded by Francophone countries, and so cannot be seen, it has no choice but to relate with these countries. And relating with them now brings in France from the back door. So that is what is playing out. The two are rivals, whether they like it or not. And so that is what has happened. This idea of having, it is a follow-up from the French colonial policy. Initially, it was what you call the policy of association, that now was changed into policy of assimilation. So trying to make Africans become French people. French Africans were allowed to vote in France and be voted for. That was that is the beginning, the background to all this. It has not ended. It is always there that it is doubtful whether France will want a Nigeria that can stand his own and be able to question his influence. While Nigeria, on the other hand, is saying, well, we are the most populous country, not just in West Africa, but in Africa, and in fact, the greatest concentration of blacks in the world. And when Nigeria had the muzzle, it allowed that to play not beyond Africa, leading to the liberation of so many African countries, whether in the South, whether in the East, and so on and so forth. And then playing the regional power in ECOWAS. But that has not been allowed to take place because of what I have, this rivalry that is there. So Nigeria has no choice but to deal with France, because most of the countries bordering Nigeria are French-speaking countries, and they have affinity with France. France has a eternal, as it were, influence on them, and so Nigeria cannot but have a partnership. How effective or to what extent does it undermine Nigeria's interest or boost the French interest is another matter.
Good evening, Mr. Moderator.
Yeah, good evening. Do you have any question or comment?
Yes, I have a question, sir. My name is Emeka Onwa.
Go ahead.
I am joining in from Abuja. Please, I want the last presenter, Mr. Paul Ejime, to probably provide further insight into the allegation made sometime in the past that the French government actually bankrolling the terrorism or the war in the Northeast. How true is this allegation? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your question. Mr. Ejime, is there any truth in the allegation that France is deliberately sabotaging Nigeria's war against terrorism or insurgency?
Well, there is no, it remains an allegation that has not been proven. If it's an allegation, it remains one until there is evidence to support it. But what one can say, based on what I have said before, the background that I gave, I don't know whether Mecca or no, I had it. I was saying that there has always been this, cat and mouse relationship, no love lost relationship between Nigeria and, between France and Nigeria. France, because of its colonial history and the number of countries that it colonized in Africa, most of them are sharing borders with Nigeria, continues to exercise a major influence on these countries, or what happens in West Africa through these countries. For instance, today, you can't believe it, at the AU, for instance, African Union, a Chadian who is French speaking is the head, is the chairperson of the commission, the AU commission. And the Chadian also is the head of the UN office in West Africa and the Sahel, UNOWAS. And you'll be asking, what the qualifications that Chadians have to do this? And then, by the way, in Mali, the UN mission there, MINUSMA, is headed by a Mauritanian, also somebody that is French speaking. So France is asserting power, and there is nothing wrong with that. It will tell you it is pursuing its national interest. So Nigeria should also do the same. It is not uncommon for you to find countries having working at crowd purposes or because of the so-called strategic national interest.
Mr. Ejime, 1 second, please. I'm sorry to interrupt you, so that we don't. Some of our guests are not able to join, so that we don't lose them now that they're here. Let us. We'll come back to this question of France because it is very, very, very germane to what is happening in Africa. Dr. Nwaezeigwe is now here with us. Dr. Nwaezeigwe, what's your take on the topic we're having tonight?
Thank you very much. First of all, I can speak from both practical and intellectual perspectives. First of all, most Nigerians don't know that Tchad is the engine work of instability in Nigeria. Whatever thing that happens in Tchad is what takes place here in Nigeria. If you take about the history in Tchad, let's just juxtapose both Tchad and Nigeria. You find that Tchad, the majority ethnic group in Tchad are the Sarah, making about 35% of the population, and they are Christians. The first ever democratically conducted election on independence was won by a Sarah. In 1960, that's President Tombabaye. 3 years later, 1963, the Muslim North, who constitute about 5% of the population. I'm not talking about the Ari, the Tubu, the Zagawa, and other people. They started their military operations. I'm talking about 1963. And since then, until Tombabaye was overthrown in 1979, and then there was problem. Nigeria came in during Shagari, and then Bukoni Wadeye, who was then being supported by Muammar Gaddafi, took over, and then made Ejime his defense minister. Ejime later revolted, came again with military force, overthrew Bukoni Wadeye, and went ahead to south and massacred about 50,000 Sarah Christians to suppress them politically. And then Ejime was his army chief for south. Ejime then later revolted and with force again took him off of the place. And that's Ejime, who is from Zagawa, and the Zagawa people are about 1% of the population in Chad. And I continue to be there, suppressing everybody. And if you look at it, by Chadian constitution, the person who is supposed to take over is the former president of the National Assembly, and that's Mr. Harun Hibadi, a Christian Sarah. Constitutionally, when the president, as soon as this person died, he was supposed to have taken over. But then they came up and then outwitted him, overthrew the government, and put him there because they did not want a Christian to be there. That is secondly. On the other side, I saw Idriss as a junta and do I say he is a warmonger? He was a warmonger. I passed through Northern in my bid. As I'm speaking now, I'm a United Nations High Commission for Refugees. I'm a refugee. I'm an international citizen. I'm an international refugee under United Nations High Commission for Refugees. And in bid of my escape, I passed through Northern Cameroon to the borders of Tchad, through Marwa, Darwa, then to Kusere, the next time to N'Djamena before I was asked to go, and I was guided by Cameroonian soldiers who were fighting Boko Haram. You discover that both Cameroon and Chad are not interested in stopping the Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria. When people talk about Ethno-Religious helping to quell insurgency, it's quite the opposite. He himself is an instigator of insurgency in Africa. First of all, if you are past that side, because I passed through that place to Maiduguri, and I can tell you that if Nigeria wants to stop Boko Haram tomorrow, they can do it. Because without Chad, Boko Haram will not have means of transporting weapons, arms and ammunition to fight. And Chad itself has a secret pact with Boko Haram of non-interference. Don't enter our territory and will not stop your activities in Nigeria. The last time they had problem was when Boko Haram crossed Chadian border and attacked some Chadian soldiers. That was when Chadian forces attacked Boko Haram. After that, they settled their rifts and they went back. So if you go through that side practically as I went through, you find that at one point we were driven back when we were being escorted by Cameroonian soldiers. We were driven back by Boko Haram. We went back, took shelter in a town, and then the following morning we started our journey. So you find that that same man was the same person who instigated the Senegal rebellion, the Senegal rebels that invaded Central African Republic and briefly overthrew the government, where he wanted a country with 10% Muslims to rule over the rest 90% Christians, African Republic. From where did they start the operation? From Chad. And he supported them. And they're telling us that this man has been fighting insurgency, has been fighting. He has not been fighting. Without insurgency, Idriss Deby would not have survived. Because that was actually the means with which he attracted foreign financial support and foreign recognition. So his death, I believe, if the next person that will come there is actually serious, will be serious, we bring about the end of Boko Haram. But if the person, now that they put his son, I don't know how long he will stay there, if the person continues with his policy, Boko Haram will continue to thrive in Nigeria because that is the source of their income. They use the income there, they use arms sales to Boko Haram as part of their income, while utilizing the oil in the south, just as the Fulani rulers in Nigeria today are utilizing the oil in the south.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Nwaezeigwe. I think you have introduced a bit of controversy now, which we would like to resolve in this discussion. Mr. Ejime, this controversy about, because I think you hinted about that controversy initially. President Deby of Chad, was he actually fighting against Boko Haram or was he fighting against Chadian rebels? Because there are two distinct things.
Okay, let's look at it from micro and macro level. Even Chadians do not believe that he was fighting terrorism, which was, what so many people believe. Because, like Chief Nwaezeigwe was saying, he said that the problem is Tchad. He's not looking at, he says when you find somebody, when a blind man tells you that he will stone you, he's probably standing on a stone. Somebody is beating is drumming in the bush, that the music that Tchad is dancing to. And that player, that drummer, is France. Tchad on his own, Tchad is comparatively to Nigeria. They cannot stand Nigerian army. They know that if they were to fight war, or in whatever sense you want to take it, they can't. But somebody is behind them. And that's where I want I want him to look at, to focus on who is behind there. Because my people used to say that is the home house rat that tells the bush rat where you have food. So somebody is showing the outsiders where things are. That is France. France has a base, military base of that has they call it Balkan Force, that they are using to fight terrorism in the Sahel and West Africa. Their headquarters is in N'Djamena. Okay, it's about 5,100 troops, well trained. And you remember that recently they were talking about Macron. They threatened that they were going to reduce the force. What happened? France, Tchad, that has about 33,000 strong military force, said they will provide 1,200 or so to complement what is there. And also, you look at the UN force in Mali. It was when all the crises you find in Mali also has a role that Chad is playing, that France is playing in the north, very large area where you also have resources. You have French forces there, and when France is trying to quell some of these things, they use UN and others. They are using Chadian forces. So it is just like somebody who have made themselves available to be, and perhaps maybe they don't have a choice because economically they are not from a position of strength. And that is what Africa is suffering from. Africa is not negotiating from a position of strength, economically and politically. That is why some of this thing is happening. Most of them run to their former colonial masters. Most former French colony figures have houses. If they don't have houses or property in France, then they have not started, or marrying French wives. So that umbilical cord, that imperialism or imperial cord has to be broken before Africa can really say that they have independence. So you cannot openly come and say that. It will sound politically incorrect or diplomatically, you don't say things like that. But that is the truth, which Africans have to confront. There was an AU representative, Zimbabwean woman, who was representing AU in America. You know what happened? Because she mentioned this issue of this treaty of neocolonialism, the woman was removed by the Chadian who is head of AU. They started getting all kinds of allegations against her. But her major crime was that she mentioned the fact that France needs to leave Africans alone. And then because of what is getting, it's not likely going to happen. But there has to be that pressure. Africans have to bring that pressure. It is beginning to show among the citizens of this country. But the elite, because they are benefiting from it, they don't want it. They want it continue. They want the status quo to continue.
Okay, can we bring
it's not favoring the ordinary people in these countries and the ordinary Chadians.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ejime. Can we bring Dr. Nwaezeigwe to this topic you are now, because you have hammered on this point severally when he was away. To what extent is France undermining Africa in the war against terrorism? Dr. Nwaezeigwe, what do you think?
Well, the France actually has its own primary interests, that is maintaining a neo-colonial grip on the country, on her former colonies. They found that there's no French former colony in Africa without the presence of the French army, French armed forces there, either as advisors or as army stationed there in the name of fighting terrorism. Every French West African country. The point we're saying is that over time, French has been has been trying to cover those areas that Britain left. For example, let me tell you what is happening in Nigeria now. Do you know why the Naira is spiraling? That is, is spiraling very fast in devaluation. They want to make Naira at par with the French francs, CFA, so that we can easily join the proposed ECO, which is being propelled by Alassane Ouattara of Côte d'Ivoire. So you are now talking of French. Nigeria is already within the range of that French colonial grip, neo-colonial grip. So it's right, but then the issue of Boko Haram is this. The continuation of Boko Haram is a strategic necessity for France, strategic necessity for Nigerian leaders, strategic necessity for the Chadians, strategic necessity for Nigerian leaders. First, the sustenance of Boko Haram tries to remove the bulk of the army, those who have revolted against the misgovernance of the country. They take them to Boko Haram for, to distract them and maybe gradually withdraw them out by state-managed Boko Haram ambushes and attacks. Secondly, continuation of Boko Haram also means the increment in war economy. Every war has its own economy. Purchase of arms, if Boko Haram stops today, there are many Nigerian leaders that will go out of contract, that will go out of job because of possession of arms and other things. War effort is all about money making. So strategically, the sustenance of Boko Haram is serving some interest in Nigeria, politically, economically, here in Nigeria. It helps to the federal government to stay in power by taking those ones out, those who have actually resisted their misgovernance in form of coup or military mutiny. They keep them busy. There. Fine. For Chad, continuation of Boko Haram also strategically important for her economy. First, they supply arms clandestinely to Boko Haram, because without Chad, Boko Haram will not have any means of sustenance in terms of arms supply. So they clandestinely supply Boko Haram arms, and they're making money through that way. They also barefacedly pretend to be the vanguard of anti-terrorism in Central and West Africa, thereby attracting financial support from America, Britain, and other areas. Then strategically for France, the continuation of Boko Haram also tends to weaken Nigeria, which has been a very serious problem for the dominance of France in West Africa, because it's very strong Nigeria. We always withhold down the influence of France in Africa. So the Boko Haram and crisis in Nigeria is also good for France, because it tries to weaken that giant and then make them vulnerable for quicker control. So I believe in that French that French approach is strategic, but most people don't actually know about it. All they know is that, oh, French, they have arms here, they have arms there. No, French has interest. And as I'm telling you today, If Boko Haram ends today, many people will go out of job.
Okay, let us. So now, from everything we are hearing here, I think a lot of our listeners will agree with me that the death of Idriss Deby. So, is it now a positive or a negative for Nigerians who are against terrorism? Because that is what I'm still trying to fathom from the speeches.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a positive end if Nigerians are sincere. If Nigerians are not in pollution.
Mr. Ejime, what do you think? So is it a negative or a positive on your own part?
On my own part?
No, Mr. Ejime, let us see
okay. Okay. It's a very complex question. And what happens will depend on a lot of both facts and then what we call political imponderables. There are certain things that you cannot predetermine or prejudge and say, well, this is it. It's not like mathematics where you say 2 + 2 will give you 4. Because here, now, you will look at the situation in Tchad itself. What is the political, what is the environment like? People are not sure what killed Deby. Was it killed by the rebels, as the military wants us to believe? Or was it, did he die from friendly sword, friendly fire? Was he killed by people within, people remember the Kabilas of DR Congo, where the father was also removed, and by a guard, the guard fired at him and he died, and then they brought his son from Laurent to Joseph Kabila. Okay, so this is, what are the things that it's not clear. You can't now say for certain that the elimination or the absence of Deby will do this or do that. It depends on a number of factors. Some of the factors, if you are going to use from experience what has happened, fine. But what about the things that you cannot predetermine? You can only make projections. One will be that if he plays according to his father, then there might not be change. But we're hearing now that he does not enjoy the full support of the military. And then what about the civil population? And then the rebels? And then France? Even if they are supporting him now, it is just a case of how a 37-year-old boy, how does he handle pressure? Because pressure will come. The rebels are there. They have only let up. They say they are having a temporary ceasefire today to allow for the burial of Idriss Deby. But what will happen after that? What level of support will he enjoy? The father had a number of attempts against him in power, 2008, 2019, and even a few days ago, that's the weekend that he was killed. They were marching on, and then they said that was the reason, instead of, because they just announced his re-election, instead of having a victory party, he decided to visit troops at the front. And that was where they said he was fired at and then died from injuries. So a lot of unknowns that are happening there that you need to unpack. And it will take time. It's not something that you just sit down one place and say, well, this is a project, and say this is what is going to happen. There is so much uncertainty, instability, and then insecurity that is happening there. And that is why, how can Nigeria, what do you think? Let us talk about what Nigeria can do.
Exactly, that is exactly where my mind is going now. Okay, because so from what you are saying, is there any way that Nigeria can influence events in Chad?
Okay, this is what Nigeria can do. A lot of it will be through kinetic and non-kinetic, or using what you call artificial intelligence, and then also capital, human intelligence. And how do I mean? Here is a situation where the ordinary Nigerian didn't quite know what role that Idriss Deby played. From Chief Nwaezeigwe, it was a case of, well, he was not, he was there to further his own interests or work for the paymaster. that is France, where you have him facing defense. All he was doing was just amassing ammunition to fight, and then retain both himself and those who put him there. And then France was playing their part. There was consistent, what do you call, there is consistency between what he was doing, or there was a meeting point between his own aspirations and what France wanted him to do. That was why they kept him there. That was why he could agree to beef up Bakan force that is based in Ejime, because he cannot fight alone. He could be field marshal, but if he didn't have the support of this big power, he cannot succeed. Nigeria now should now re-strategize, having the mind of what the influence that France, because what is happening is France is the one pushing what is happening in Tchad. That is what I want to say. So it will now be the engagement of France to say, come back and say, listen, it is time you allow, but however they want to do it, Nigeria has to assert itself. Nigeria has to exercise leadership.
All right, let us take a question. Maybe it will continue. It will contribute to the discussion.
Yeah, I can see.
It's happy to be on your line. I'm a retired Nigerian diplomat. I'm also a Nigerian politician. I believe very much in the power of Nigeria. I am running for the presidency of Nigeria in 2023. This is very important to me. This French connection. I speak fluent French. I speak fluent Spanish. I'm still an Asaba man. Indeed, I believe very deeply in the last point that you have made. It doesn't matter what the interest of anybody else is. What is your own strategic and your core interest? And that's what you need to pursue. I've argued very, very deeply that we need to make every effort at our executive level to stop this war. Every year, it costs Nigeria about 1 trillion naira to pursue the war. We've had it on now for 11 years. We are approaching the 12th one. Why should we continue in it? The soldiers are failing. The French want Nigeria to continue to be unstable. What is our own interpretation of what we must do? And I do believe that that's what we need to work on, and we can achieve it. Nigerians don't want the war. We've gone from Boko Haram, we have bandits in the northwest. We've gone from bandits, we have Fulani herdsmen. Now we have all sorts and types of secessionism going on and coming up in the south. Is this in our national interest? The answer is no. But there is only one line that we can take that will help Nigeria. What is our executive branch of government prepared to do? What is the president prepared to do? As a diplomat, I see the war in Nigeria now, including indeed Boko Haram, as low-intensity war. And definitely when you have a low-intensity war of the type we have, you can't keep fighting. You don't even know where and when they will attack. You don't know the extent that they will go. We need to negotiate. We are almost approaching the point between the north and the south of Sudan. How did it end up? Is that what Nigeria wants? Is it in our best interest? My personal contribution is that it is not. Can we do something about it? Yes, indeed. I met and I knew President Deby in Algiers when I was chargé d'affaires of Nigeria in Algiers. And that's about 28 years ago. I tried to read the man, my thinking, and I still have photographs of us. My thinking at that time was that this gentleman pretends that he's doing well. He wants to do well. He believes in it. In Algeria, as a diplomat, and then as a Nigerian, and then having a Chadian president come into the country. If you speak French or you speak Arabic, you will see that what they were trying to do was to create a situation in which it would appear that the interests of Nigeria and Chad are on the same plane. But then you see the man act. He's tried to be there much, much longer than he ought to have been. That was not in his best interest. That's probably why he ultimately died, and we can gain out of it. What's our gain in it? We need to take a totally new path. And that path must be the path of making sure that the highest interest of Nigeria is implemented. And what is that? Stop the war. How can we stop the war? We can't keep fighting. Indeed, our soldiers are benefiting from it. What happened in the Niger Delta, it's what we need to do. We've got to bring in money and then use the money that they are getting from France or getting from anybody else or from any other, use it as Nigeria's own weapon to neutralize what they are doing. We cannot continue to fight the war. It's not in our economic best interest. It's not even in our military best interest. Politically, it will continue to destabilize. It will continue to destabilize us. That's my contribution. I know that there are people who are opposed to it. It's not to negotiate in order to weaken us. It is to negotiate indeed in order to make us to be free and to make it possible for us to say, yes, the interest of France, we have gone ahead to torpedo it. Has Nigeria torpedoed French and British interests before now? Yes, indeed, we have several situations, even Russian one. So indeed, what is this Nigerianism that we need to pursue? It is to end the war and end it not by military means this time, but by a negotiating process that will bring in a lot of other people. You're doing a wonderful one, I thank you. I'm going to be off because I have another meeting that's waiting for me. Thank you, keep doing what you're doing. My name again is Dr. Orefon Nnamdi. Thank you, bye-bye.
We thank you very much, sir, for your submissions. Dr. Nwaezeigwe, what do you have? Do you have any response to some of the issues he has raised, especially in terms of negotiated end to the Boko Haram?
Well, I think my dear Ahmad has spoken as a diplomat. And, you know, I am an expert in international history and diplomacy. And in strategic studies, they all marry together and they also apply in different situations. Strategically, negotiation can only be effective on one side when it is done at a position of strength. You are negotiating with Boko Haram at what level? Are we negotiating? Are we going to negotiate with Boko Haram in the sense that, oh, you have said you want an Islamic caliphate. We are giving you part of Borno as an Islamic caliphate. Or are we negotiating that now that you said you want everybody to be Muslims, we all have agreed to be Muslims? Or on the other hand, are you negotiating to tell them that their allies, the Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State, who actually are the supplier of the ideological force, because they are not operating within an ideological vacuum. They have an ideological force which is being prepared by international jihad network. These are the major issues, and they often get it often gets problematic when people try to compare Boko Haram with the Niger Delta situation. Niger Delta situation was entirely different from what is Boko Haram today. Niger Delta militants never attacked ordinary people. They never attacked civilians. They were only talking about resource control. This is our land. We are producing oil and you're not taking care of us. So at that point, the issue of negotiation was very, very clear. Okay, you have the oil, you have the oil, we will give you palliative, we will train you since you are not being employed, you are not being employed. And that was it. And I don't know, by telling us that we negotiate with an Islamic insurgency group, I don't know on the ground which Nigeria can negotiate. The federal government has subtly been trying a strategy of arresting Boko Harams in spite of the heinous crimes, put them in air-conditioned room, air-conditioned buses, air-conditioned hotel, train them and send them overseas, and then bring them back in the name of reintegration. And after reintegration, the same people go back to the war. I don't believe that it has worked. What I believe is that a war that has been fought for 11 years is not only a criminally manipulated by those in power, but
how would you end it?
Yeah, it's criminally manipulated because look at the Nigerian Civil War. Look at the Nigerian Civil War. 5 battalions of two brigades of Nigeria. Within a short time, they raised divisions to quell Biafra under 3 years. And here, just a section, an arid section, without thick forests, without big rivers to cross, an arid area. You are sending bands of soldiers with a pickup van, and then you give information to Boko Haram to clear them. I think if Nigeria actually wants to, I passed through that, as I said, I passed through the Boko Haram zone as a refugee, and I can tell you that strategically it is very easy to deal with those people.
All right. Okay, let us.
Let me continue.
Is there any way we will get some?
If Nigeria sends a division, a mechanized division into that area, I think Boko Haram will flee. But you are not sending detachments, small soldiers, bands of soldiers to go and attack them. It's just suicidal, trying to clear them gradually. That's my position. We are not yet ready to end Boko Haram. When we are ready to end Boko Haram, with our force, we can finish Boko Haram in 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
Possible, sir. It's not possible. What about what the Americans are doing in Afghanistan?
Yes. The Afghanistan one is very, very different because the Americans, no. The Americans are there to protect their interests. They are protecting. They are there as army of invasion. We are not. They are there as army of invasion, protecting a regime. So there's even extent the Americans can get involved directly with the Taliban. They are there on protective. Yeah, they are there on protective mission. We are not talking about Nigerian armed forces.
I'm raising my hand. Please call me.
Yes, a division moving into that area. I've been to that area.
We will call you in a bit, sir. Just let it run.
Dr. Nwaezeigwe, can we think of how this war will end? It seems like what we're doing is saying we will continue to fight forever. It's not possible.
Yes. Okay. All right, Dr. Nwaezeigwe, if you can just wait a little, let him take a little, and then we call David Adebayo to ask his question.
Okay. Yes, moderator, I am trying to make the point.
Yes.
What is our objective? It is not possible. We have had 2 of it. We started with Biafra.
Network has interrupted. David Adebayo, and Mr. Ejime, I'm seeing your hand, but please let's.
Yes, thank you, sir. Can I speak now?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. The submission by Dr. Ejime about the power of France and the buttressing of that by the erudite Dr. Nwaezeigwe. Sorry, I can't pronounce the name. It's so tongue-twisting for me. Goes to show to us what we are dealing with. Nigeria is completely enveloped by Francophone countries. Yes. North, East, West. All are French speaking. And submission is France is not interested in Nigeria being stable. It is not just France that is not interested in Nigeria being stable. It is an international conspiracy. And this government, this current government, is not interested in stopping this war. They are not at all. They are financiers of it. We are just finished, Nigeria just finished talking about this Minister of Communication, what do you call his name now? Pantami, or what is it called? And all the atrocities he has spoken. And this government turned deaf ear. But his own is not even the problem. We know how effective Tchad was when Gaddafi was alive. What a route it played through Gaddafi and all those regions. Now, Gaddafi is no more. all these mercenaries and trainees are from that place. If Nigeria wants to stop this war, currently, as Dr. Ejime has said, we can stop it. How do we stop it? This government must go. This government is a financier of it. This government is a liar. This government is an Islamic government. This government is a northern power. This government is absolutely an Islamic force. You have seen everything they have brought through. Now they are talking about cow data, animal data, when human data is not even available in this country. See, no, doctor, I mean, I'm very serious about this situation. We are just scratching something on the head. The root cause of this war is the spread of the Sultanate down to the Atlantic Ocean. Didn't Sultan say we dip Quran in the Atlantic Ocean? Is he not doing it now? Did not say we dip Quran in the Atlantic Ocean? If they can go as far as East Central states and build whatever they want to build there and go and harass people there, and the government could not, they quell them, nothing happened. In Zamfara, nobody caught anybody. In Kaduna, nobody caught anybody. In Benin State, nobody was caught. And now you are talking about, no, why this government cannot stop this? Remember, when Jonathan brought up an army general, what's this army general now, the chief of army staff? Yeah, Jerica. God bless you. And he started his battle against Boko Haram. Hey, he's killing our people. He's taking a pound of flesh. Did we forget? He wants to take a pound of flesh of Biafra war. What are we talking about? Why are we shying from saying the truth?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr.
The Sultanate is trying to do all they can to Islamize Nigeria. It's not an equation of this year. It's an equation of over 40 years. I was a small boy during the Civil War. That was secondary one, 1967. But I know I ran into gutter and all the rest of it, but everything has come down. Now somebody is comparing that with, what do we call it? Niger Delta. No! Niger Delta had a cause. They presented the cause. They had leaders. They presented their leader. Who is the leader of Boko Haram? What are they asking for? What is their grievance? Nothing. But to spread their religion. Let's face it. It's more than political. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we'll come back to you if necessary, sir. Mr. Ejime now, what's your response?
Okay. Well, I think we're all pointing at the same thing, which is the dysfunctionality of states. And Nigeria is gradually joining them. But let us look beyond the present administration, because they have, between now and maybe the next 2 years, they will go. Let us project into the future. I know the situation now, as it is, some people think it is hopeless, some think it's helpless, but I don't think so. What we have to do is we cannot throw our hands in the air and say, well, there's nothing we can do.
Mr. Ejime, sorry, when you say the situation is not hopeless, please, I'm scratching my head. Okay. Mr. Adebayo said that,
yes,
you know, when terrorists bombed the Eagle Square when Jonathan was the president, someone was arrested and persecuted. Suspects were named. Arrests were carried out. Now, under this administration, do we have any bandit that have been arrested in Zamfara? Have we arrested any bandit in Katsina State? Is any Boko Haram on trial? Is any Hasman bandit, whoever they are, on trial? So I think this thing makes Nigerians wonder what exactly is going on. Is the government, what are they doing about it?
Yes, I agree with you. We are still saying the same thing. You are still talking about a system that is not working. And that's why I mentioned dysfunctional. It is not working, you know, the way it should work, or the way a normal state, nation state should function. That is what is happening. There is breakdown of law and order. That is what is happening. Even the defense minister was saying. But some of these things we are mentioning are just the factors that either aggravate it or they are driving it, or triggers. So we have to isolate each and every one of them and deal with them in a fundamental way. And it is not going to, even when you finish the fight, like some people are talking, you cannot negotiate. You will still come back to that negotiating table. And it is not by, after you must have killed everybody that is supposed to benefit from what you are fighting for. Because what are we asking for? We're asking for justice. All these level of grievances all over the place. If for one thing, let us, for the sake of this argument, say, okay, that the Boko Haram, because some people will say that they have their own grievance. Can we get everybody to come to and talk about it? You will say, well, they don't have leaders. But some people have gone to the bushes or where they are to talk on their behalf, to say this is what they want. What I'm talking about is Nigeria as a country. It is both micro and then macro. The micro level is for Nigeria as a state to get its act together. Because if you don't do that, the issue of fighting external aggression, something that is not coming from Tchad or coming from any other place, you will not be able to handle it. But can you handle both simultaneously? Yes, it's possible, because the state cannot cease. There is no alarm, no amount of, you can't say, well, there is no Nigeria now. So
what does Boko Haram want? What exactly does Boko Haram want? I think the guy have asked that question before. What does Boko Haram want?
No, the point is that, yes, the point is that there is a perception that those in authority are using what you call kid gloves to handle Boko Haram, to the extent that some people are even making allegations that they are getting the backing of those in power. That is the issue. There is a perception because of the fact that somebody mentioned the fact, you mentioned it, that when there was a bombing at the UN office, somebody will arrest. But now, no arrest and things are, but it cannot continue. That is why has there been no arrest? And if now, let us all agree that the country is not functioning. And what do? A country cannot exist in abstract. What is because what is holding us together? That bind, that thing, what do you call it? The bond is loosening. What do we, and that is part of it. The constitution that we are operating now is not working. I've heard some people say, well, will we now, for some time, agree? There is the Afenifere chairman, Ayo, talked about the fact that can Nigeria, for instance, say, okay, because of, let us take time to define and then get Nigeria working first before we talk about the election. The suggestion could be, can we stop, let's hold the election at bay and work at what is those bricks. Because you can't build you can't put a roof on a house that you don't have you have not laid the blocks, there is no foundation. The foundation is weak, and we cannot bring a superstructure in it. So how do we get the constitution to work? Before 1966, Nigeria had a federal system of government that allowed, we didn't have this issue of desperation to become president of the country or to become governor, where the power is so concentrated, where the region that is producing the revenue does not benefit from it. That was why the Niger Delta youths or militants came up. So from that, can we go back and look at where this rain started beating us? And it was from 1966. What we are running now is a unitary system. It is not the federation that our forefathers dreamt about. Let us go back to that. And there are two things to it. How does it happen? Let all there are some that will be resistance, no doubt. There will be those who are benefiting from it now, who will say we cannot. But it is now left for those who believe in it, those who trust in Nigeria, to say no, listen, to insist. You have seen Miami, where every day they're shooting people, more than 700 people are dead. But they are out there. Okay. Are they fighting? They are not fighting, but for instance, let the state assemblies of those who are asking for secession, the Oduduwa states, that let them come out and say, well, listen, pass motions. Let that motion not be agreed.
Okay.
Let the people from the Southeast, let all of them, pass that motion, and then the civil society.
All right.
I heard Falana talking about a group, a movement of civil society. That is what you want, people's movement.
Okay.
That
How
that
may be very difficult in Nigeria, but let's call on.
What is the option?
Okay, let's speak to Dr. Nwaezeigwe before we take another question from Dr. Nwaezeigwe. You've been shaking your head.
No,
The issue.
Yeah, at times my brother, speaks well. I sympathize with him because he's not in Nigeria. He's over there.
Dan, can you tell them that I'm visiting? I'm in Nigeria. I am.
He's been in Nigeria. He's been in Nigeria. He's only visiting London. But continue, Nwaezeigwe, just quickly.
We know that a visit is a short-term, transit, but he has been there now for more than a visit. And there's no hope of coming back. So, you see, the reality in Nigeria is that Nigeria is chaotic. If you are in Nigeria today, you do not know if tomorrow will be your turn to die. Either from kidnappers.
No, people can die. Let me tell you, before I came here, just hold on. A relation was abducted. We had to negotiate between Benin and Asaba. So I know I live with it. So I know I'm not oblivious.
Let me finish. You see, it's not a matter of probability. It's not a matter of assumption. It's not a matter of theorems or theoreticals. It's a matter of practicality. Nigeria is in a state of precipice, and it can degenerate at any point. And what we are talking of Chad, how do we think the situation in Chad, will it spill over to Nigeria? Will it aggravate the already precipitous situation in Nigeria? Or will it act as a solution to a state of tranquility in Nigeria? These are the issues we have to look at. Let's forget about constitution and whatever. And if you are talking about, I was surprised when you talk about this government will soon end 2 years ago. Who told you this government will end? What is the government? Is it the person there that is government or the policy of the party? So let us even forget who is there in the government. But what we are talking about, the present framework and operators of this framework are working in tandem with Idriss Deby. And the only way Boko Haram can end diplomatically, because it has to end, Boko Haram has to end diplomatically now before we talk about the practicality. Diplomatic in the sense that if Chad decide today to cut off arms supplies to listen, I've been to Libya, I've been against Gaddafi, I've been with the Libyan fighters, I've been with the Tuaregs, I've been with them in Libya. Gaddafi, when he was alive, used to call us, and I bet if Gaddafi were to be alive today, Nigeria should have divided, because he would continue telling us that Nigeria was too big to be a country. Gaddafi's mouth.
Correct, doctor.
Yes, I've been with him every 2 years. 2 years. In fact, I worshiped with him last in the Muslim university. The Muslim university. I worshiped with him in February last during the debate of Prophet Muhammad. I worshiped side by side with him in the mosque in 1910 before the revolt in Benghazi. So what we are saying is that strategically now, arms come to Nigeria through two angles, Libya and Sudan. And they cannot enter Nigeria without passing through where? Passing through Chad. And I bet you, and Asare Dokubo, I never knew him. It was in Libya that they told me about him. And I can also tell you that that was how it was. through that scheme that Asare Dokubo got his arms to fight, because he was actually sponsored by Gaddafi. Asare Dokubo. So it was through that means that he got his arms to the Niger Delta through Okoja angle. So if Chad decide today to say, look, Boko Haram, we are shutting our doors from your arms supplies, Boko Haram will not have anywhere to go. And Nigeria is aware of this. And I've said, I passed through that site, Mountain to Medugri, then from there to even the N'Djamena. And I can tell you that Idriss was fighting a protective war in agreement with Boko. I'm talking from field work experience, that don't enter Chadian territory. Do whatever thing you do in Nigeria. That is the plan. So what we're saying is that the present Nigerian government cannot, they know that when Boko Haram stops today, the government of the Federal Republic, the present government of the Federal Republic will be endangered. But it means that the distractions being inflicted on Nigerian armed forces by sending them to war front will now disappear, and they'll be in danger. The misgovernance, the suffering of the people, or with the bulk of the armed forces, as human beings, are also experiencing, the burden will march on them. So the war has to continue. And again, the war also serves to enrich the generals and those who are administrators, war contracts, and other things. So none of them want the war to start. So unless a serious government in charge say, look, or a serious government in Nigeria takes over, not this particular government. If you put me in authority as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I bet you in 6 months, Boko Haram will go.
Okay, let us call on Mr. Ilikano, please, to ask a question or make his comment, and then we will be approaching a rounding up in a short while. Mr. Abbas Ilikano, please. Good
evening, gentlemen.
I'm not seeing your face, so if you can adjust your camera a little so that your face will appear. We were only seeing your body, sir. No, just no shift. Is your camera not touching? Just position it very well. Position.
Okay.
Very good. That's better.
Okay. Gentlemen, the last speaker, I have to thank you so much because you touched so many things that is actually my view. You see, the problem of Nigeria is we produce too much and excellent talkers, speakers. We talk, action first. You see, because if you watch what is happening in the country, where are our politicians? Not one talking. It's Daniel and Co. that is making the world to know what is happening in Nigeria. Without them, nobody will know what is happening in Nigeria. Where are they? Because they are waiting for the whole thing to Dabalu. Now they come out with the Abada. You see, where is the opposition? It's their duty when the government is committing crime. It's the opposition to come out and mobilize people. Where are they? And like the doctor just said now, the problem, the fundamental issue is that the African politicians don't even know their left and right. Because like you said, we have a problem with the Francophone countries in Africa. We are not moving forward because they connect together. AU is not working with all the atrocity that's happening. I was discussing with a friend today. I said, look at when we were young students in Europe in 60s to early 70s. We go to wharf to carry plantain and banana from South America that will take hours, 11 hours. But we have, within 10 days, they have goods from Africa. Not one single product is coming from, they're allowed to come. They go to Pakistan and India to produce singlet and come back and sell here. But after, with the cheap level there they have. We have cheap level in our place, they refused it. Okay? So tell me one product that is coming from our place, or the Europeans give us the chance to do it. No. You pay transport to Thailand for about 300 euros, but you go into Nigeria, you pay 1,000 plus. These are the things the politicians should tackle. And now coming back to problem we have. We leave the main problem Nigeria is having. I'm talking grammar. When the Southerners, and I mean Southerners, Yoruba and Igbo, the major tribe, when they are united, who are they? Who are they? Because until we solve the problem in Yoruba land, number one, the diversity in Yoruba, in religion, that is what is holding us back.
Okay, I think let's not mix the topic.
Don't stop me, please. This is very crucial, please. Don't stop me, please. Now, until we solve this problem, we can collectively fight this. Buhari cannot do this if the structure in the parliament, the red chamber and the green chamber, is reviewed, that is balanced. They cannot be doing all this. Everything they say, go to the parliament, because they know you are not moving forward. Okay? That is why they are saying all these things. So my view is, first and foremost, the first gang, as Daman said, the first step is to pull down this constitution. That is number one. And then it will be easy to get Buhari to senses. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Let me ask you. Let me ask you, Mr. Ilikano, with regards to the topic we are discussing today, which is the influx of arms through Chad into northern Nigeria, thus aggravating the insurgency and terrorism. What do you think the Nigerian government can do to influence development in Chad? Do you have any opinion on that?
Yeah, my take there is it's the government to negotiate with the Chad, but which government is that? That's the government that is inviting the Chad Prime Minister or President to close door meeting, and because of what comes out of it, that's the only way. You cannot force them without the dialogue, and who will dialogue with them? Is our government.
All right, Mr. Ejime.
Yes.
There appears to be cooperation between Niger Republic and Nigeria government, especially under this current administration. There appears to be a synergy, both economically and politically. What has stopped Nigeria from developing that type of relationship with Chad? Do you have any opinion on that?
No, the political complex and the environment they are different, and from what you would have seen, you look at the regimes in these countries, and then Nigeria. It has always been, they can never be, I don't think they will agree. The only area of agreement is that they are both former Francophone countries. And then they know how to settle their own differences, speaking one language. Mm-hmm. And so, but Nigeria has always had, this issue of good neighborliness. You can do it in international relations using what you call either soft power or hard power. If using carrot and stick. But you need to be, Nigeria uses oil resources. When they nationalized the what is it called, the British Petroleum in those days, to make it, when the British people were saying that they could not give independence to countries like Zimbabwe and all that, Nigeria said no. And they were able to do it using hard power. And then allowed some of those nationals of those freedom fighters, they gave them, asylum here. Mandela, Mbeki, they all had, they went to school in Nigeria. So, but that era, because of the oil issue, Nigeria has been going down instead of progressing. I want to say that if you have, they say that there's somebody who has fire in his house cannot leave it and be chasing a rat. There are things that they're what you call low-hanging fruits. There are things over which we have control, and that is our, for instance, our territory. Before you now move externally. So can we get it right? Mr. Abazi has talked about the differences between the fact that Yoruba and the Igbos cannot agree. And it is not an ethnic kind of thing. It is about justice. Do you know that if things were working, that the ordinary Nigerian is so resourceful that he can forget who is in power. But because things are not working, there is no electricity, there's no water, you are your own government. How everybody is meant to depend on government. That is the problem. That is why constitutionally, let us get it right at home, domestically, before we now talk. We can do both, but we have to now prioritize to know if it's a level of 100, what percentage are we going to give to the fact that we have to get our own house in order, to get our constitution working, to get everybody feel a sense of belonging in Nigeria, a sense of justice, and remove this iniquity where some deployments or appointments are tilted towards one people from one zone. Is that not part of the problem? If everybody, it's not that if they have my own person there that is going to perform wonders, no, but at least let there be that sense of equity. But like he said, why are the opposition, the people who constitute we have a problem with National Assembly, that before you tell them to jump, if the presidency, before they bring anything, they rubber stamp. What about the state assemblies? And how many are they? 36. The ones, okay, if the ones in the South can come out and say, why can't they pass motions? Let us start by passing motions. That what is happening in Nigeria is unacceptable. And let the civil society join forces with them. Exactly. There will be change. Exactly. What happened in Burkina Faso? Military, Compaore was a military man. But they were able to change the map.
Yes.
Sorry? Hello?
I think you are talking now. Sorry.
No, I've been talking, but the point is they say break it. When we break it or when we surrender, we say Fulani, what is their population compared to the rest of the country? So why can't the rest of the country get it right? 3 million. Why will 3 million defeat 177?
Okay, we'll soon be.
That is the issue. It is not about breaking anything or saying, it will continue. It cannot continue if we say no. Okay. Let us get our house in order. Agree among ourselves that this is where we are going. That what is holding us together, that constitution is not working. So let us find a way of fixing it. Once you fix it, every other thing, the Nigerian government that it used to be in the past can now go and demand its own and its respect internationally. Unless that is done, we are playing.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, let us take this question from Johnny and then we go to Dr. Nwaezeigwe and then we start rounding up a very interesting discussion we're having tonight. Johnny, please, you are unmuted.
Yeah, good evening, Elomba. Good evening, Dr. Nwaezeigwe. I enjoyed this program and I want to thank you for actually bringing it on air. And my interest is actually Nigeria's strategic interest. I enjoyed a lot of actions from Nwaezeigwe and Ejime, especially. But my fundamental question is this. This last speaker almost took the question I wanted to ask. When I look at Nigerian problem, it looks very simple. But at solving it, I feel like what's wrong that they cannot see it. It's just like when a president is running an election and appoints an INEC chairman, and I'm still running the same election and hoping to win. When the person he's paying is the umpire. Then coming to what I'm thinking, or rather what I want to ask, what is the big deal in majority affecting a change in a constitution, especially Nigerian example? Every person talk about constitution. But what you see is Southern garrulous senators dancing on the Senate floor without moving emotion. What is difficult that Nigerians legislators should gather, entire South, North Central, and some affected people in the Northeast and Northwest, and say this document is not working. Yes. Why not we think and make it to work? We keep on, like the other person said, blaming a tiny minority. What have we done in our own self? Even move, let it be rejected. Let alone building a kind of coalition prior to the moving of the emotion. After all, it's Nigerians that move the emotion for Nigerian independence.
Yes.
How many have these people that are being paid with petrodollars, billionaires, moved a motion for the good of Nigerians? So I want to get from experts the psychological condition that made this kind of political docility possible in Nigeria.
Okay, let's go to Dr. Nwaezeigwe.
Is money. The docility is money. The amount have been stuffed is money.
Okay, Dr. Nwaezeigwe, any response to the poser, and then you can now use it to give your concluding comments because we must end by 8 p.m.
First of all, let me address that issue you raised, which Mr. Ejime talked about why Nigeria is, relating so closely with Niger, but not closely with Chad. The point is that diplomatically or strategically, Nigeria is relating at the same periphery of both. Chad now is an extension of Nigeria. It's about the 38th state of Nigeria. You have Chad, Niger. You have Nigerians now trooping in, having Nigerian ID card, which is aimed at reordering the population.
The demography of Nigeria.
The demography of Nigeria. Then
Yes.
from Chad, you see them strategically moving in refugees, displaced Fulani refugees from Central African Republic. A lot of them concentrated in Galambulai refugee camp, which I witnessed. In Galambulai, Galambulai is a border town between Central African Republic and Cameroon. They are now trooping them into Nigeria in name of foreign herdsmen. So they are doing the same thing, trying to reorder the demography of Nigeria for their own benefits. So that tomorrow, and they're pushing them down, issuing them with Nigerian identity card. Nobody's questioning about that. So tomorrow you are going for election, and then they say, Fulani is 90%, Fulani is 5%. At the end of the day, you see them voting to outwit you. You now ask how and when. So we must understand this. Our leaders are not doing anything. And the best bet, because now we have a National Assembly that is docile, a very, suffering from I don't really know what the leprous mentality. Until each member, each constituency begins to visit their representatives, their members of legislature, telling them, if you don't, that we want you to withdraw from National Assembly. If you don't withdraw from National Assembly, we deal with you. Let us even leave National Assembly for those in the north to run. This is just one action. Our senators, look, Senator Peter Nwankwo, you are my senator. Please withdraw from the Senate. Oh, Elumelu, you are my House of Rep. Withdraw from this. By the time this.
But what do you expect them to do? You see, Elumelu moved the motion this week to sanction Patami, and he couldn't make any headway.
That is yes. Under normal
because his brothers are not supporting him. How many people supported him when he made the motion?
In advanced country,
he cannot.
In advanced country, members of opposition and others will withdraw. They will withdraw from the proceedings of the House of Representatives. And Nigerians cannot do that unless those who elected them tell them so. And the only way Nigerians can hear is force. Force. A drowning man, the way you save a drowning man is by giving a heavy slap. Otherwise, he will like to jump back to the, to the river, to be drowned more. That is what our politics, unless we do it. It needs self-sacrifice. I believe that Fulani are not the problem alone, because it is the rat in the house that tells the rat in the bush there is fish.
Okay, we'll soon be concluding. It's 8 o'clock. Let's not drive this discussion away from the team to discuss about Fulani. Fulani or Idriss Deby, see a Fulani? I'm asking.
Yeah, Deby is related to
Tuareg, isn't it?
No, he's not Fulani.
Tuareg, what is he?
He's a Zagawa.
Okay, so he's not a Fulani. So let us not divert the discussion to Fulani this time. Please, we'll soon round up. Yeah, my last question will be, a problem has been identified,
Yes.
any other big country like Nigeria, with the influence Nigeria have in Africa, will be able to be interested in what is going on in Chad now and try to influence it, because we, like you said, Chad is the pathway through which arms are brought into Nigeria from Libya and Sudan and destabilize the country. Are we confident that this present administration is monitoring events in Chad with interest to see how they can influence it possibly? Mr. Ejime, I think do you have any idea whether
Nigeria is doing so now? I don't work for government, and then if
yes,
they do,
yes, we know, like back.
they will tell you they are, and but you these things are, they say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. You need to see the effectiveness of whether. So if they were doing that, we won't be where we are today. If they were doing the needful. So let's just say that if they have been working, it's not been effective. It's not good enough. So they need to re-strategize. You know, my Odogu was always mentioning Deby. Now Deby is gone. Where do we go from here?
Yes.
And I have said, listen, there is need now to capitalize on if the man was working, assuming he was working against Nigeria.
Yes.
There is now a period of hiatus. There is this period of uncertainty for Nigeria to move in and be able to work for its own strategic interests, for what is good in Nigeria. We have talked about, let's leave domestic area. I might talk about macro and micro. So macro now should be engaging the countries. Remember, there is a Benin, not just Niger and Chad. There's a Benin that is even contiguous, our neighbor. In fact, when he was talking about the 37 or 38, they come to tell you that kind of a story, that they are part of you when they want to take money from you, as soon as they get the big brother. And that is the kind of thing that we are not doing. Nigeria is in a position to use its soft power and the combination of this soft and hard power to make these people respect Nigeria and be able to follow. And it used to be like that.
Yeah, even if
why
it's
can't
not,
we go back to that side?
Yeah, even if
it has to go to that level where if Nigeria talks about anything, you find these countries, because they don't have a choice. All you needed to do, remember the last time that Nigeria closed its borders, there was an outcry.
All
Why?
right. Our time is
the
going.
The market that all of them depend on is in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So you have the leverage, you have what you can use to be able to assert your authority and your influence. Nigeria should do that. And it can come through both negotiation, using this carrot and stick approach to assert yourself. But again, you have to get your own house in order.
Thank you very much.
You can never move beyond that.
Dr. Nwaezeigwe, concluding topic, what should Nigeria do now with what is happening in Chad?
The situation in Chad is very, very difficult because Muhammad Deby, the son, the successor to his father, was the commander of the elite force that protects in N'Djamena, that protects his father, that protected his father. So whatever strategic policy the father had been making militarily, the government had been aware of it. And he found that it is very difficult for the young man who is presently engaged on how to stabilize his position in his country to change his father's policy. And what Nigeria will only tell him now is, look, this is the policy we've been having with your father. We hope you will not disobey. And he said, yes. So I don't think there'll be any change in his policy vis-a-vis his father's stances before in respect to Boko Haram and the Nigerian relations. That's my position.
So we're not seeing any change then?
There's no change unless there is a regime change in Chad, and then there's also change of government in Nigeria. The status quo remains.
Okay, so unless there is a change of regime in Chad or a change of a government in Nigeria, the status quo remains. Thank you very much.
But there's already a change of government in Tchad. Has there not been?
But he said it's a continuation because it is the son. It's a continuation.
Okay.
The continuation, yes.
We thank you. We thank you very much, Mr. Paul Ejime. It's always been a pleasure bringing your experience in the diplomatic circle to such international topic on Elomba Television. Thank you very much for being with us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
And again, Dr. Nwaezeigwe is also your experience in the Sahel, traveling through the Sahel region and interacting with them brings forth whenever you are making your contribution. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you very much.
We thank all who contributed, Mr. Abase Likano, David Adebayo Alabi, for making this contribution tonight and asking us your question. Okay, the other gentleman has left. The first that asked a question. Thank you very much. And Elomba Television wishes you a very good evening.
Thank you.